Members, we're going to move into our second item on our agenda for this afternoon, the policy number 52, Pursuit of Sovereign Powers by the Kingdom of Hawaii. Members, County Communication number 08171 referenced the communication and attachments received from Henry Noah, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Hawaii, requesting a meeting with the members to share issues and concerns regarding relating to the Hawaiian government pursuing sovereign powers in Hawaii. This afternoon, members, Henry Noah, Prime Minister with the Kingdom of Hawaii, will be providing this committee a 15-minute to 20-minute PowerPoint presentation, and the chair will allow for a brief period of questions following Mr. Noah's presentation. Okay.
First of all, thank you. Thank you all for allowing me to be here and to share what I've been involved with for, I believe, 40 years of my life. Okay? Trying to find out how to resolve a problem that I was raised under. And of course, not just resolve one problem, but to present solution. I realized years ago that as I continued my path, that a lot of people have ideas about what things are. But really, you know, because this issue deals with law, there's a lot of specific applications that involve this process. And today, this is what I'm hoping to convey to you. And then, of course, in closing, I want to be able to offer to you a solution that we could arrive to, okay? And I normally don't do speeches, but I tell you, in front of one body like this, I had to prepare. So my introduction, you have it. I believe it was given to you in this paper. The front portion is what you were provided for, I believe, 4 or 5 months ago. It's in the back. The back portion is my introduction letter. Okay, and I believe you'll find a binder, color code separating it. And I'll begin from there. Right after that, I'll move into my presentation. Okay? Aloha, my name is Henry Noah. I am the elected Prime Minister of the reinstated Hawaiian Kingdom Nation. I want to thank you for the opportunity to share my mana'o, and also that of our Hawaiian nationals, to reclaim sovereignty in our homeland through the efforts of reinstating our nation and its rightful government. Since that fateful day of January 17, 1893, the Kanaka Maoli people have strived to reclaim their nation through one effort or another, only to be denied or put on hold. This, I believe, is a result of not comprehending the full spectrum of how the proper authority of law works through international law principles and how these principles are applied. Past applications and current proposals offered to our Kanaka Maoli people confirms how ignorance of the proper application of international law has led our people and will continue to lead our Hawaiian people into a paradox of applying or accepting imperfect right, which is a key principle in international law. The principle of imperfect right occurred when the Hawaiian people asked the United States government, Congress, to return their sovereignty. The principle of imperfect right cannot compel the corresponding fulfillment of obligations. This is a principle within international law. Now it will easily be understood why a right is always imperfect when the corresponding obligation depends upon the judgment of him, the offender, who owes it. Okay? And I guess you could say in pidgin English, what it means is, if I come ask you for something I own, that's where the problem is. We own this. So I shouldn't be asking. And this is what the principle of imperfect right is about. Nations do not ask for something that they possess. But that takes time to learn. It took me a long time for me to understand that principle. For years, all proposals generated from the Kanaka Maoli people in pursuit of sovereignty was tainted because they were asking for the return of their sovereignty, the application of imperfect right. As Senator Danny Noy stated, sovereignty is inherent in the people. Even today, our Hawaiian people are in the same situation of perfect right through the offer of a Akaka Bill legislation, which Hawaii's congressional leaders are hoping to pass in the U.S. Congress. The Akaka Bill is a clear example of how the federal government and the state of Hawaii government continue to mislead our Hawaiian people in believing they must ask for their sovereignty through such legislation as this, the Akaka Bill. The Akaka Bill is a pretense of sovereignty that is not only imperfect right in its truest meaning, but also outright absurd. The paradox is, where in any civilized nation's justice system can the perpetrator of a crime dictate its own terms and conditions in the judgment or final decision? I'm finding out only in America that happens to the Hawaiian people. Here we have to go and accept conditions laid to us by the very corporate entity the United States government stole from us. This is surely the situation presented in the Akaka Bill legislation. The United States, the perpetrator and participant that stole Hawaii's sovereignty, is now offering a solution, dictating the terms and conditions, and predetermining the type of sovereignty the Hawaiian people should possess. If any of you have read the Akaka Bill, it can easily be determined that the true sovereignty is not the offering, but rather a process that is subjugated by U.S. federal and all other laws currently in existence in Hawaii. The Hawaiian people are already subjugated to these laws. I can't understand why they're offering this bill. We're already subjugated to all of these laws. This doesn't release us. It's not a form of sovereignty. It's, again, misleading us to believe that they're coming to help and assist us. Today, I stand before you to explain how the reinstated Hawaiian Kingdom nation government was manifested through the international law principle of perfect right. This principle is the opposite of imperfect right. The difference is that perfect rights are those rights which carry with them the right of compelling the fulfillment of the corresponding obligations, the obligations that link the reinstatement process directly to international law as applied to nations and former recognized nations. The following presentation will describe how the principles of international law plays a key role in the establishment process of the Hawaiian Kingdom nation government, and how specific laws passed by the U.S. federal government and the corporate state of Hawaii lend credence to our efforts. At this time, I would like to present my presentation. Lights. Danny Noy's quote relates to a principle of international law, that if a nation throws off the yoke of oppression itself and sets at liberty the right to govern, it re-enters into the enjoyment of all its rights and regains its former position. Now, this is your illustrious congressman. Mr. Inouye has sat in on many discussions in Congress assisting other nations who've been illegally overthrown over the past 100 years that have actually reinstated their nation back to power. And he's made it really clear in this news article And that is that the United Federal Government, the United States, need not get themselves involved in our sovereignty process. He tells you that real clearly. It's on. Oh, sorry. So if we don't need to ask, then what we needed to do was understand how does a nation does proceed. This proclamation fulfills a requirement of due process in law, officially declare and announce the establishment of the Hawaiian nation. This took place March 13, 1999. This is filed in the Federal Registration, United States Federal Registration, as a legal notice. Formal protest letter, key to reinstating sovereign nation. Back in January 17, 1893, our queen, who was forced to abdicate her power, her nation, did what was applicable under international law. Okay, and what she did in this protest letter was preserve the right of her nation to reclaim, or as she states in the last line of her letter in 1893, reinstate the constitutional monarchy of Hawaii. And this is according to international law. So she was very well versed in international law. The nation, the state, so long as it has not voluntarily submitted to other men or other nations, remains absolutely free and independent. This is the reason why we have civilization today in this world, was because of international law. This is where respect came, to respect each other throughout the world. Because without international law, we wouldn't be here. It would be the strong survive. Next. U.S. Public Law 103-150, implied recognition. There's a difference between implied and expressed recognition. Expressed come in a written form. Okay? I use the word implied because they, meaning the United States government, conveniently wrote up all of the apologies, all of the wrongs committed to these offenses, and then at the end says, oh, we shall not be held accountable. Okay? But these are the key facts that this apology brings out. And one of it is that the U.S. acknowledged participating in the overthrow. The U.S. acknowledged existence of the recognized Hawaiian nation and government. So they identified the proper claimant, which is important today. Today, for all of us to understand that there was a proper claimant. You can come to me and talk about Kauinoa, you can come to me about Kakakabil, they're just claimants. There's a proper claimant that's here. Violated international treaty and territory laws. Acknowledges the continued existence of the inherent sovereignty of Hawaii. Can you imagine? These are all in this document. Okay, this document says that we, the people of Hawaii, never gave up our inherent sovereignty. So if we never gave it up, you know what the question was in 1993 to myself? Where is it? Where is this inherent sovereignty? That was the key question that I asked myself. Acknowledges ownership of the national lands by the reinstated Hawaiian government. It acknowledged that the United States does not own the national lands, does not own any lands in the Hawaiian archipelago. And it acknowledges it. Hawaii state's laws supporting RHGs, reinstated Hawaiian government's right, perfect right. And this is interesting because 1993 was a miracle year. I think Akua done blessed all us Kanakas that year. Okay, because you got the federal government to admit and confess, and then you got the state government to follow through. And in one of the acts that they passed, one of the laws, Act 359, it reads, to acknowledge and recognize that, and to facilitate the efforts of the Native Hawaiians to be governed by an indigenous sovereign nation of their own choosing. So there's your state legislator telling us in their law that we can decide what sovereignty that we should choose. It's up to us. If we want them to assist us, that's fine. They have done nothing but offered alternatives that really will destroy the very essence of our perfect right. Our rightful claimant status. You know, I found out in the court of law, when you appeal, and you can have 100 claimants trying to claim the property that we own today in a court of law. One of them going to come out the proper claimant. And that's the one has to prove that it is the proper claimant. It has to prove that. And this is why the term reinstate is a legal art term in international law. And it's there because countries, powerful countries, love to overthrow weaker countries. But once they overthrow the weaker countries, that doesn't mean that weaker country doesn't have a right to reclaim what is theirs. And that's the beauty of international law. Okay? Act 329, 1997, the Hawaii State Legislature adopted the Federal Apology Resolution. So they now acquired it. They said, you know what? We agree that what's written in the federal law, we will be agreeing to also. 6K9, transfer of Kaho'olawe. You know, this one, the state of Hawaii passed this law. And I believe they were pressured by the United States government to put this language in there. Okay? And this is what it says in 6K9. Upon its return, the state, okay, that the state shall transfer management and control of the island of Kaho'olawe and its waters to the sovereign native Hawaiian entity. Okay? The key word there is sovereign. And I believe in 2006, July 31st, and I'm sure if all of you read Maui News, you would have experienced that we had gone over, authorized by our government, to reclaim the island of Kaho'olawe. Okay? To initiate the process. And this process is based on the international law, the rule of post liminium. And what the rule of post liminium under international law clearly points out, that when a nation returns, it has the right to reclaim the property that belongs to them. Atankakua, Kaho'olawe, was the only island where there was no third parties living upon. In other words, it was our government, reinstated Hawaiian government, versus the state of Hawaii and the United States government. Whereas here, I believe close to 90% of Maui County lands either belong to the Hawaiian government or the Crown. 90%. Okay? Paragraph 29, Public Law 103-150. This is the one that opened my eyes. And this is what it states. Whereas the indigenous Native Hawaiian people never directly relinquish their claims to their inherent sovereignty as a people or over their national lands to the United States, either through their monarch or through a plebiscite or referendum. The island of Kaho'olawe is part of the national lands that belong to the Kingdom of Hawaii nation. Now, the incredible part about this paragraph is, this is the United States telling us. Who's us? They can be telling me. They can be telling all of us Hawaiians. They can be telling the general public. But I think they also told those in office, in government office. They've informed you that the United States don't own the national lands, which meant they couldn't transfer it, any of it, to the state of Hawaii or to the county, the various county governments. Again, you know, this is too good to be true. You know what I mean? It's almost as if, here, brother, I'm going to shove all of this in your face and you figure it out. I believe we have figured this out. Okay? After 115 years went by, okay, and 40 years of my participation in trying to fix one problem that I have inherently in me, I realized that we were trying to play basketball, dribbling on football, and playing with volleyball rules. We just never knew how to do this correctly. To begin the process of reclaiming jurisdiction and ownership of properties belonging to the reinstated Hawaiian Kingdom without hindrance, oppression, or suppression. Okay, this is perfect right and reclamation. This notice is also in the U.S. Federal Registry. This was done, I believe, on September 9th, 2001, 2 days before September 11th. 2 days before September 11th, this was submitted. Why? Again, due process of international law, yeah, is very clear. You have to follow procedures. Like how you guys follow procedures, you have to do the same under international law. And this is what we did. And basically what it says in our proclamation is that we're letting the general public know and all government officials know that we're going to begin the process to reclaim what rightfully belongs to our reinstated Hawaiian government. I told you, we reinstated the former inherent sovereignty of Hawaii. That's a process sanctioned under international law. I did not make this up. In fact, I thank our queen. She started the process the day she was being overthrown. You know, as I look back throughout the years, I realized she was a very intelligent woman as far as knowing government duties, as far as knowing international law. When I read her books now, I can see why she did certain things, you know. And I appreciate that because that level of comprehension I see in our people today. They don't have that, you know. And I got to include myself in it too. But I just thank Akua that throughout the last 15 years of teaching and learning and understanding how international law functions, it applies. The rule of parsimonium under international law. When a nation returns, that nation has the right to reclaim property that belonged to that nation. On July 31st, 2005, the reinstated Hawaiian government executed perfect right under international law's rule of parsimonium and reclaimed the island of Kaho'olawe. Key action, open and notorious, okay, peaceful, okay. Perfect right and transition. The reinstated Hawaiian Kingdom government issued public notices to inform the general public and the de facto governments, the United States, the state of Hawaii, and the various county governments, of the lawful actions that the reinstated lawful government shall execute and pursue. This notice, what it provides, the key portion of this notice is informing the people, the general public, and government officials that we will initiate the transition of government powers. The reinstated Hawaiian government. We began the process. Okay? This was issued, I believe, in 2003. Human rights violations. Okay? Oppressive and unwarranted action by de facto government officials of the state of Hawaii and the County of Maui was in direct violation of the rights of the Hawaiian nationals of the Hawaiian Kingdom government in reclaiming Kaho'olawe. When we went over, I had informed the government, listen, we will begin to reclaim lands that belong to our country. Obviously, people don't take laws serious. State of Hawaii officials, county officials, they don't take law serious, you know. Prior to this, I spent 6 years soliciting an international law firm that would assist our government, yeah, in the event that our nationals are violated under international law. And that's the purpose of having human rights violations. I can imagine that prior to reinstating our country, we were all American Hawaiians. We did not make this separation yet. Once we reinstated our country, we became Hawaiian nationals. And I realized as a Hawaiian national, now I have rights that are protected, even under the highest authority of law in this world, and that's international law. And it's nice to see that finally there is a court available. Okay? There is one. And that is now, addressing human rights violations throughout the world. And I can be honest with you guys, when I discussed this with this law firm, the first question that they asked me, Henry, have you guys been violated? You know what my answer had to be? We never even get nationals yet. We were still constructing our government, trying to complete the qualification of a government. Once we fulfilled these obligations, we had nationals. Okay? Transition of government powers. Let me explain this to you. Is a process of international law that precedes the return of sovereign powers from the de facto governments back to the rightful sovereign Hawaiian government. During this phase, terms and conditions are agreed upon to eliminate unnecessary oppressive and suppressive acts against the sovereign reinstated Hawaiian government and its nationals. Should Maui County government officials be held accountable for the continual denial of human rights owed to the Hawaii nationals? Or should Maui County government officials respect the laws that were passed by the U.S. federal government and the state of Hawaii? To date, numerous county government officials have received notices of human rights violations due to oppressive and suppressive actions conducted against Hawaiian nationals. I can tell you that 3 of the counties have already been served, like how you've been served, that letter informing you of our right to proceed by reclaiming our nation. And I believe that you have received human rights violations because certain nationals have been violated. Okay? I can tell you that there has been multiple more, and I have not forwarded to any of your officials, because once I was told I would have this opportunity to come in and share our position and to open up the possibility of now discussing seriously how we should transit government powers, I felt that you should be given that opportunity. You should be, oops, sorry. Oh, ran out of battery. So I purposely have withheld them. I can tell you, Kauai's County has not taken that same attitude. Corporate Counsel had advised them to just totally disregard us. So today, each council member and the mayor have 9 violations. A part of our reinstatement process is to build a human rights case. And we have proceeded to do that. This can be avoided. This can all be avoided. Why? Laws have already been passed. They've been passed, giving us this right, supporting this right, and it was just a matter of us understanding who we are. The Maui County government works with the reinstated Kingdom of Hawaii in the transition of government powers phase. Okay, after being forced into 115 years of exile, the Maui County Council does acknowledge and recognize the perfect right of the reinstated Hawaiian Kingdom government's political authority in the occupied territory of the County of Maui. Agreement by Maui County Council. Whereas any agreement by Maui County Council to recognize the reinstated Kingdom of Hawaii will not result in a formal recognition as required under international law, but will assist in the foreseeable legal conflicts and transactions between the county government of Maui and the reinstated Hawaiian government. If you understand how recognition works, okay, you do not have the power to grant us sovereign recognition. What you do have the power to do is to understand that you can make it possible to eliminate some of the legal conflicts that currently are occurring in this county by recognizing the reinstated Hawaiian government. I believe the question was asked earlier, are we asking for formal recognition? Yeah, I believe, I don't know who it was, but I'd like to share this. that formal recognition of our entire sovereign nation, yeah, has to come from another nation, of which I can be very honest with you, we have been working very diligently to organize that on an international level. Okay? This, I feel, Maui County recognizes us. This makes it possible now for us to begin the transition on how we should proceed at this juncture. Whereas in United States Public Law 103-150, 1993, the indigenous Hawaiian people never directly relinquished their claims to their inherent sovereignty and their claims to their national lands to the United States. Listen, this law in the state of Hawaii has just been acknowledged in the OHA versus Hawaii Development, HCD, Hawaii Community Development. That was the Supreme Court of Hawaii. Just acknowledge this law. So here you have, I guess you could consider them your superiors, the state of Hawaii, the state of Hawaii Supreme Court, finally does the right thing. You know? Finally. This was supposed to be one law, but everybody they keep telling me no. You know? They keep saying no to me. Okay? Whereas the Office of Hawaiian Affairs versus Housing and Community Development Corporation of Hawaii, I won't read the numbers. The Hawaii Supreme Court held that the apology resolution, U.S. Public Law 103-150, and its sections are a part of the laws of the state of Hawaii. Okay, the apology resolution was adopted by both the House and the Senate, signed by the then President Clinton on November 23rd. And designated as Public Law 103-150. Generally, when a joint resolution, such as the one at issue in this case, has emerged from legislative deliberations and proceedings, it is treated as law. Let me assist with Judge Moon's decision here, his opinion. And that is, this comes out of the United States Constitution, Article 1. And it talks about how laws are passed. And that then there is a joint resolution that comes out of Congress, signed by both houses, and signed by the president. It has the effect of law. So Judge Moon he actually made the right statement, you know. But here, like I said, here we are as Kanakas continually trying to say to everybody, listen, this is law. When are we going to respect something like this? Well, again, I thank Akua. 2008, it has turned that leaf for us. Whereas one of the stated purposes of the Hawaii State Law, Act 359, was to facilitate the efforts of Native Hawaiians to be governed by an indigenous sovereign nation of their own choosing. Okay? I know I stated that earlier, but if you guys recognize what I'm doing, I'm really trying to draft up one proposal where take a good look at this, because I believe this is the template that we could work with. The County of Maui and the reinstated Hawaiian government. Whereas Hawaii Law Act 329, 1987 states to wit, the state legislature adopted the U.S. Public Law 103-150, apology resolution for recognition purposes. That's a 9, there should have been an F. For recognition purposes. Whereas having agreed with the laws of the U.S. government, Public Law 103-150, and the aforementioned related state legislation, Acts 329 and 359, the Maui County Council shall acknowledge and recognize the reinstated Kingdom of Hawaii and its government. Section 1, acknowledgement and recognition. The County of Council of Maui, I said that wrong, I wrote that wrong, sorry. On the occasion of the illegal overthrow of the Kingdom of Hawaii on January 17, 1893, acknowledges the historical significance of this event, which resulted in the suppression of the inherent sovereignty of Hawaii. The County Council of Maui recognizes the perfect right of the Hawaiian people to be governed by an indigenous sovereign nation of their own choosing. And number 3, County of Maui urges all government officials in the County of Maui and the state of Hawaii to assist in the transition of government powers and to stop the suppression and oppressive acts committed against the reinstated Hawaiian Kingdom government officials and nationals. As an act of good faith, I ask that the de facto government officials respect our God-given right and natural right to reclaim our nation's sovereign powers and national lands. Thank you, and Reno.
Members, we will take a real short recess so we can put the screen back up and get the lights on. This committee stands in recess. Policy Committee meeting for September 30, 2008 will reconvene. Members, the presentation of the PowerPoint was very interesting, to say the least. I thank you very much for sharing the information with all of us. Members, the floor is open for questions for Mr. Noah at this period. Ms. Johnson.
Yes, thank you very much for the presentation. I really appreciate it. I read the previous documents you've given, and I think this just, I guess, reinforces what was contained in those documents. My question has to do with one section of the wording, which is about that the Hawaiian nationals will, I guess, work towards the reinstatement of a government of their choosing. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, you've gone through whatever steps are necessary in order to position yourself as that, reinstated government. How would we view that particular statement in a legal context, or has there been an election or whatever? So, in other words, what gives you that right versus another group that right when the choosing is the key word?
You know what? I'm glad you asked that question, okay? Because back in 1998, when we finally was able to organize, this provisional government, and the organization was done based on Hawaiian Kingdom law, of which the districts in those laws, we were able to bring forth individuals from all of those different districts to come to represent the former government's district. And I'm talking about us Kanaka Maoris. And if you look at the how your county council is broken up in districts, you're going to find basically that's Hawaiian Kingdom law, how it's broken up. And what happened was we were able to successfully bring everybody together, meaning those that wanted to now perfect one right that we possess, that inherent right. To come together, let's form this government, then begin the process of registering all citizens of Hawaii, all that wanted to participate in one national vote, or of course, nation vote in Hawaii, okay? And we did that from March 13th all the way to October 20th, 1999. On November 6th, we conducted our first election, okay? First election. We posted it in the newspapers, saying that to come and register to run in this election, participate, you can run for office, you can do anything. I think the response was, I don't know what they're doing, And I tell you, we did the highest form, I believe, of public notice. We actually situated ourselves in the general public, in every district throughout the entire state of Hawaii. On every island, in the districts, like I said, because we are already fully represented as a provisional government now. And what we did was anybody could come in, sign up, and you could participate in our election. Okay? The vote took place November 6, 1999. Whoever won their office now was sworn into our reinstated government. Okay? And that occurred on January 15, 2000. Okay? From that point on, we proceeded to fulfill the requirements of making a government of getting a government to qualify for national recognition, nation recognition. And what we did was continue our citizenship drive, of which today I'm proud to announce we have almost 5,000 of us across the island chain, okay? But in the year 2003, we came because we had to run another election, and we did it again. We came out and we said, listen, again, you guys can come forward and participate in our vote. Well, we did. We completed our process. And in 2004, we had some government members got reelected, others got elected into their posts. We continued to conduct our business, continued to construct our government, construct our laws. And then we had another election, 2007. And the same process. And you're right, because how can we validate who we are? And you know what? It's really through the process of law that validation takes place. And that's exactly how nations do it. I think the United States had assisted Iraq to conduct their elections. Yeah, they assisted the Palestinians. They may not appreciate it who won, but they assisted it. In Hawaii, nobody wanted to assist us. We did it ourselves. We did it ourselves. And today I'm still proud to say to you, we have yet to ask for any funding to operate our government. Okay? None from the U.S. government, from the state, or even from the county. We have taken nothing, even from Office of Hawaiian Affairs. And I'm going to tell you that discussion, the first time we organized ourselves was 5 hours. And that was some wanted to get a nonprofit license so that we could get funding in through that door. And you know when we took a vote at that convention? The answer was no. Because how can we expect to know and understand to be independent if we cannot at least try to do independence? You know? And I'm going to be honest with you, many times we've been forced into financial crisis. But you know what? That's just a small problem to the bigger one that we possess. And that is the loss of our identity, the loss of our country. And this is why I'm here. Like I said earlier, no, you guys cannot give us formal recognition. What you can do is assist all of the government officials who are receiving all of these human rights violations.
I really appreciate that, because I think that's one of the questions that early on several people had asked me, and so I'm glad that you took the time to explain that. When you spoke about recognition by another nation also, or another entity, would that be another country? Would it be the League of Nations? Who or what would that body be that would require that recognition in order to validate the claims that you have given us?
In the process of bankrupting my treasury, maybe 4 or 5 times now, our citizens was able to send me to 5 sovereign nations, okay, to talk to their heads of states. And I can be honest with you, because of this, the issue, the topic, that was not an easy task. Was not an easy task to do. But you know, for some reason, they understood Public Law 103, 150 faster than those living in Hawaii or in America. They couldn't believe that we, the Hawaiian people, had unwritten confession and kept asking me, so what you guys doing about it? What you guys doing about it? I said, we're trying to build our nation so that we can perfect this nation, pone on this nation, so that our people can come home to the nation. And not forever keep discussing how we're going to make one nation. This is what I saw, the downfall, yeah, within our people. And that is, many of them didn't understand well enough to decipher that our ancestors actually preserved our nation to be reinstated today.
And so, from my understanding then, you are still in that process of, I guess, identifying or having a relationship with another nation that will formally either enter into an agreement that recognizes the
Reinstated Hawaiian Kingdom.
and the reinstated Hawaiian government as
Yes.
a legally bound government.
Yes.
And so you are pursuing that as your mechanism.
Yes. In fact, I'm proud to announce that one of the nations has actually assigned a commission to us already. So we work with a commission in that nation.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Members, additional.
So I just want to share that there were steps, yeah, and there were processes, and there were due processes in actually having a former recognized nation, yeah, come to power, reestablish themselves. And this is what we did. We realized that before I come out and speak to anyone, I should come out and say who we are and how we manifested our presence, our rights. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Noah. Mr. Hokama?
Chairman, thank you for my opportunity. And to Mr. Noah, thank you. You and I have had some long talk stories, and I share with you some of my thoughts regarding what you have shared with us this afternoon regarding the Hawaiian Kingdom. And Chairman, just allow me to make some preface remarks so that maybe we can all appreciate what I'm going to forward to Mr. Noah. Is that there's many families like mine, been in Hawaii over 100 years, and of course we all Hapa families already. I got part Hawaiian nieces, nephews, aunties, uncles, and so we're a family of many different types of people. But one thing that I shared with you that I thought was interesting is that even whether it be from my father's heritage or whatnot, we all Pacific Islanders. Whether we came from Okinawa, Hawaii, we Pacific Islanders. We came more north, we came from more farther north than the native Hawaiians, but we're still islanders. We appreciate island culture and the respect of what the island provides the individual person and families, the core things that make us who we are as a people. But coming from Lanai, and I've shared with you that I go and seek our kupuna's advice and thoughts. One of my neighbors is the kahu of the Hawaiian Church, Enti Lekanepai. And I seek the advice when I'm stuck to Mr. Sauka Opuiki, one of our senior kupunas on the island. And they have shared with me, and I state this because even for them, there's this uncertainty of which way to go or how to embrace what you're trying to accomplish, Mr. Noah. So my question or my comment to you is, how can we bring, since you're talking to us, and many of us may not be native Hawaiians, but we have family members who are, we have neighbors who are, we have friends who are, we live in communities that have many native Hawaiians. How do we get more of them understanding what is trying to be accomplished, and that there is room for everyone in your goal to have a living, breathing
Independent nation.
nation?
Yeah.
Mr. Noah, excuse me, before you respond, I'm going to ask the gallery, for the sake of courtesy, will you please turn your cell phones off? Thank you very much. I'm sorry, Mr. Noah.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you so much. That's an interesting question. All my life, I've been living under one foreign rule. I was raised under the same rules, that my parents and my grandparents taught me, and that was to always be open, to be honest, to know what is the difference between right and wrong. And as I grew up, that became my conflict. How come I can see what is right and wrong, and others cannot? Is it because maybe they don't want to? Is it because they don't? want to get involved with trying to correct one problem? Or is it because they just enjoying the fats of the land, the resources, you know? They're doing whatever they're going to do. But you know what? Like how you said, you know, a lot of you not Kanakas, yeah? But I can tell you that if you're an American, at least you're proud to say that you're an American. I went Kanaka, living in Kanaka land, and I cannot even call myself one proud Kanaka because others refuse to recognize that. And this is why I've spent my life, okay? Because it didn't make no sense with me to try to shade, yeah, the wrong, because it would always affect me. No matter I try to figure this thing out. So I went to school, graduated from high school, went to college, got my degree, yeah, ended up teaching history, Hawaiian history and U.S. history. So I could understand, how can I help the Kanaka who don't understand how to fix this problem, and those who don't understand that there is a problem? How do I merge this? You know what I said to myself? Self, you better go understand what rules we should follow. And it became down to the authority of law. I made law my hobby now for 20 years. You know, my hobby. And it was law that made me begin to respect who you are, begin to respect why law enforcement is in place, and not let myself get overly emotional. Because how come you guys cannot understand? And I know you guys experience this in your council hearings. I know you hear the kupuna come to you. Why? You know why it cannot be fixed? Because you guys got to follow the law. I know that. But what happens when the law becomes the authority? This is what I tried to share today in my message to you. That law is what we are going to participate with to correct this problem. It's law. Now, if you think that our country only includes Kanakas, wrong. That's why we have nationals. Okay? Nationals are not just Kanakas. They are those who have applied to be a citizen within our country. So I extend to you that you also can become a national of our country. When can this take place? I believe it's already happening, okay? I believe that we did the right things. We initiated the transition of government powers already. And to see down the road that conflicts can be fixed before it occurs, I truly believe that's what our duty is. Me as the Prime Minister of the reinstated Hawaiian government, and you as the City Council of Maui. We need to sit down and start working out these problems, these potential conflicts that I see occurring. Because it really going to come down to you, you know, to yourself. No matter if you sit here or you in the audience, what is right is right, and what is wrong is wrong. And I can't see how somebody can keep stolen property forever. You know, and this is really the bottom line here. This is our country. And ours include you too, if you wish to be a part of it. So you have these choices, you know. But what is my choice? What is our choice? I think the very first is to get rid of the hever inside of me. That's my first choice. Second choice, to make sure that I can assist in making this transition of government powers as smooth as possible. And this is what I'm hoping to achieve with you today. Okay.
Mr. Noah, we thank you for the manner in how you share your information. Mm-hmm. It's a very passionate but civilized attempt. And I can tell you, from my experience, the old guys in 70 call it the Palaka Pawa movement. You heard of that phrase?
Never heard of them. Never heard of them. I'll
You
be
never
honest
heard of
with
the
you.
Palaka Pawa?
No.
That was the Wahi gang's term they used in 1978 with anti-Frenchy DeSoto folks regarding the seed that became Oha. But I can tell you for many of us, and I'll speak more for myself, there is always a conflict, and that's why, while you may not hear the term Kanaka, you hear the term local way. The local way, which to me, roots go back to the Hawaiian way. And I'm not asking you to agree, I'm just telling you from my perspective, because I am open to listening to your point of view, and I share this from my point of view so that maybe you can have another perspective of understanding of a person like myself this afternoon in talking to you and your point of view. But Chairman, I'm happy to relinquish the floor and allow other members to ask Mr. Noah their questions, so I thank you for my opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Okama. Members, floor open. Ms. Anderson.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Prime Minister Noah, for your
You're welcome.
wonderful presentation. One of the things that you mentioned was the hope that the County Council will assist in the potential legal conflicts. Could you describe how you would hope the council could assist, in what way they could assist, and what those potential legal conflicts are? And were you alluding to arrests at Kaho'olawe?
Actually, no. Okay, as far as the arrest in Kaho'olawe, we've already addressed that situation.
Okay.
Governments, they have authority. And with that authority, they have a right to dictate what your citizens can do and cannot do. Okay? In our situation, in our government, we've already set up our laws where our nationals can traverse in our national lands. In other words, they can drive their vehicle, authorized by our government, licensed, plates, registered, and we're already doing it here in Maui County, on Kauai and Big Island. Okay? That runs into conflict with law enforcement. Law enforcement have been participating with what we're doing, okay, based on their response as well. We have to carry out the law. I said, I understand what you need to do. I think what we all need to understand is how can we remedy these problems, okay, so that law enforcement are not put into a situation we're not getting violated for the rights that we have, okay? And another situation is the reclamation of our government lands. Like I said earlier, one thing about Maui County, my goodness, the amount of government lands, Hawaiian government lands, that all the state lands that they have, all belong to our government. So it's like anything else, under the rule of pars limium, of which we exercised already in the reclamation of Kaho'olawe, we are already designing how we're going to reclaim the lands that belong to us. And again, I see a responsibility on your behalf as well as ours, that this transition can be done in a manner where least conflict can occur, And when I look at the situation, it's obvious to me that you have the county council in place, then you got the state of Hawaii in place, and then you got the U.S. federal government in place. Okay, we've already forwarded all of our documents to them too. Okay, we realize that we cannot just frog leap. Okay, we're at home. County government seems to be home orientated, home jurisdiction orientated. That's who I need to start addressing, and that's exactly what I've done. Okay, as I shared with you earlier, I've also taken the step further. I've gone to sovereign nations already, and they're kept abreast to everything that we're doing right now. Anytime we have activities going on, and the commission hears about it, because they realize now that there is a people in Hawaii that has a right to their nation. trust me, in the beginning, they didn't even know Hawaii existed. They had no idea. And I'm like, wow. Not everybody goes to history class, you know? But this is where the direction I'm looking at already. Again, you know, under international law, this is why I said this authority was presented to you. You know, we have the right. I don't need to come and ask you. What I do see is we need to sit down now and figure out how to prevent these conflicts from happening. And I believe that's the authority that you guys possess. That's how you guys can help remedy these problems. You know? So that's
Okay.
what I'm speaking about. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you. And that leads to my next question, what you mentioned about being recognized by sovereign nations. You also said that there is a nation that has assigned a commission.
Yes.
I'm assuming a civil rights commission.
Oh, no.
No.
Yeah, it's a commission to now, they're in the process of trying to organize other nations to participate in what we have requested from them, recognition.
And could you tell me the name of the nation?
You know, I thought about it when I was walking up the stairway, and should I share that or shouldn't I share that? Because maybe some of you might take offense to it, you know? And I'm just like, I don't know what I should do, you know? I really don't, you know? And I'm hoping that you guys don't take offensive. Because the country that I visited, yeah, when actually absorbed more democracy and the government helping their people more than when they were actually controlled by the United States government. You know, and that country is Venezuela. Okay, I had the God blessings to go there to meet them. Okay, and the beautiful part is you never know what they're saying to you. You know, you get an interpreter, but you know what? What they do, I believe, is what made the difference, and that was after 7 different meetings, they finally realized who we were and assigned a commission. And that's a part of the job of the commission, is to start to work out the same thing that I'm doing here, start to work out that avenue. How can we effectively make these changes? So, you know, in Venezuela, they pay 10 cents gas now because their president, who's being bashed by America, yeah, giving the gas to his people, you know. You know, they only got 1% royalties for almost 86 years. 1%, 99% went to all the foreign oil companies. And all he went ask for was 16%. 16%. And do you know that America went sponsored a walkout on all their oil rigs? And the people in Venezuela went back to work 1 month later and took back all of the oil rigs, started operating them again. You know, I don't know what to say except this. They're a nation. And if you're in our situation, yeah, and I've experienced it several times when I went to visit other countries, there is a factor there, a huge factor. Some of them are getting financed, and they don't want to lose their financing. Others, you know, they look at you like, you sure you know what you're doing? You know what? I can be honest with you guys. Hey, I follow in my heart. I follow in my mind and what is right. Okay? And because if you cannot do that, you're not going to get nothing done. You know? And that's how I feel. So I hope I addressed your question.
No, you did, and thank you for sharing. I think it's very wise that you're reaching out to other sovereign nations.
Oh, thank you.
And you can always learn from everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Ms. Baisa?
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate the presentation. You know, as a kind of first-term council member, I've run into the Kingdom of Hawaii and, you know, meetings with lots of your people, and they're trying very hard to explain their position, but I really didn't have the background, and I think many of us don't. And so it's very good that we see this kind of thing because it helps us understand. I have an interesting question. You probably don't know, but although I'm Portuguese, my husband is Native Hawaiian. His mother was pure Hawaiian, Kikivis from Kenai.
Oh, fantastic.
And So we are eligible for a lot in Hawaiian Homes in Keokea.
Oh, happening.
And I've been waiting anxiously now for 3 years for, this thing to be built. And I'm curious to know, what is the relationship of your organization with DHHL? Is there going to be a problem with that?
I think it's the same situation that we're in right now. This is Maui County Council,
Yeah.
right? Department of Hawaiian Homelands is a state agency. So there's no different. We're going to have to discuss the issues. We're going to have to discuss. As far as what I see Hawaiian Homes have provided, the effort, I think it's been great for our Kanaka people, okay? Some may not agree, some may not. So why should I stop something that is good for our people? If anything, I actually had a meeting with the director. And at least you guys never fall asleep on me. Maybe one of you, I saw one of you close your eyes, but, he went to sleep. And all I say is, well, I guess so much for that discussion, But you know what? I still don't hold no animosity against the guy, because Hawaiian Homes is Hawaiian government lands. It's what it is, It belongs to the Hawaiian government. It belongs to the reinstated Hawaiian government. Like I said, I had to show you the connection. What they call that in law? Nexus. Nexus. Yeah? I had to show you the nexus. And today, this is what I pray I had achieved with you. That there is a legal nexus here that connects us, that validates who we are.
Thank you for that. One little follow-up question.
We cannot afford to give you money to build your house, though.
We're going to
Not yet. Not yet.
I think we can manage that.
Okay.
If you can get a lot like
I thought
that.
you was going to ask me that question.
I think we paid some fabulous thing like $99 for a 99-year lease. So that's really a wonderful program. But the other question I wanted to ask you was, you mentioned earlier that you were welcoming everybody to join, and followed up with another discussion of, who can join the kingdom. Are those who are not Native Hawaiian or Kanaka Maoli eligible to be leaders, or are we?
Yes. In fact, in legislative, House of Representatives, yes, they can run for office.
And can you briefly describe what your government system is? I know you have a prime minister. I'm curious.
We have an executive branch, we have a legislative branch, and we have a judicial branch. Exactly what's here existing in Oahu, they have their duties, okay? And like anything else, we have convened our legislator for 30 conventions, 30 already, over a period since 1999. Twice a year now we convene. Once on the palace, Iolani Palace grounds, we convene there for a week. And then one of the islands hosts the second convening. And that normally occurs in summer, in June. And like anything else, we convene to review proposals, amendments, resolutions. So we have an established body of law that's 777 pages thick. That 62% of those laws are redirected as HRS, Hawaii Revised Statutes. 62% of the kingdom laws are actually Hawaii Revised Statutes. I believe that's the reason why they call it Hawaii Revised. Okay? And we're just doing what the law says, okay? We go through it, and if it's outdated, we address it, and we amend it, and like anything else, we get our discussions. We call to the vote, guys go up, And we've documented all of our conventions. We have them on film, writing, because one of the blessings that we've had, okay, is that when we proceeded to reclaim Kaho'olawe back to our rightful government, prior to that move, we had documented everything that we did as a government, okay? Because we prepared ourselves to enter into the jurisdiction of these courts. Because I felt that where in the world can I get what we've done, yeah, as a government and get it on record? And I realized that it would be in the states or the county courts of laws. So the exciting part about it is when we got obviously arrested for reclaiming our lands, we presented our defenses. And I just thank Akua. Every one of our defenses was accepted into the court of law. Okay? And one of them was real simple, that the courts recognize us as the reinstated Kingdom of Hawaii nation.
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure having you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Baisa. Members, additional questions? Mr. Molina?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Mr. Noah. And to say the least, your presentation has been very enlightening. I wanted to ask you, with the system of government that you're looking at or you have, in terms of the sovereignty model, are you looking at something along the lines of a nation within a nation? And for the long term, are you looking at establishing a relationship with another protectorate nation, so to speak? You know, a larger nation that has more, say, military might in the event of, you know, some unfriendly adversaries coming in?
Okay. First of all, we, the reinstated Hawaiian Kingdom government, yeah, is reinstating the right to be an independent sovereign nation. Okay? In our court case, we had hired an international law expert to testify in the court case to describe the difference between a domestic nation, domestic dependent nation, versus a sovereign nation. Okay? And the expert did excellent. Simply stating, yeah, what he did was establish that a domestic dependent is a sovereignty, a sovereign entity, yeah, self-determining entity within another sovereign power, okay? Whereas a sovereign nation is a power unto itself. So we spent a lot of money trying to establish that point in our court case, okay? And that's one of the reasons why we did that, was that because we were there, we were trying to assist the courts to determine that state laws clearly provide that the Hawaiian people have a right to a sovereign nation of their own choosing. See, they didn't say sovereign entity. When you look into 6K9, it says a sovereign Hawaiian entity. So the key there was the word sovereign. Okay? Now, we can or we could have selected to be a nation within a nation, a domestic dependent. Okay? But we decided not to. Okay? And the reason why we executed, like I said, the reclamation of Kaolavi, is because now it has been, yeah, it's on record that we have proclaimed to be a sovereign, independent nation, so that we can fulfill the laws that have already been passed in the state of Hawaii.
Okay, thank you for educating me on that. And one last question. Your system of taxation, I know you mentioned the Treasury and so forth. Can you share with us your system of taxation?
Yeah, we decided that all nationals not going to get taxed in our government. All nationals. All non-nationals going to receive their tax bill.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Pantanella.
Thank you for that question, Mr. Molina. Who are non-nationals?
Who are non-nationals? Those who have not applied to be a citizen of our country are non-nationals.
Thank you. I just want to say, you know, it's pretty enlightening what you presented us.
Thank you.
You know, provided me at least some facts that why you're here. One question though, you mentioned that part of your law, you took out like 62% from HRS.
No, from Hawaiian Kingdom compiled laws, the laws of the kingdom.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So none from HRS.
No. HRS 62% actually comes from Hawaiian Kingdom laws.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Fontanella. Additional questions, Mr. Victorino?
Thank you. And Prime Minister Noah, thank you for being here, for enlightening us.
Mahalo.
And we have had many stories too in the past, and we've sat down and talked. And I'm going to play the devil's advocate. You know, everybody like be nice, but I'll go one step beyond that because a lot of the people know that I go beyond just what I see. I want to know. My question to you is real simple. You say you use the law to institute your government. But other forms of government who claim to be the rightful heirs, rightful leaders of Hawaii, basically say the same thing. I read it on the computer. I listen to them.
Can I?
Well, wait, let me finish
Okay.
my question. Okay? And Henry, I respect you a lot. That's why I asked you this question. What would make me and the rest of the people of Hawaii say you're the right one and the others are not? And that's my question.
Okay.
What makes me, you tell me, or tell me why you, Prime Minister, are the right form of government and none of the other entities that are existing are the right ones for the people of Hawaii?
I
I'm
believe.
talking about Kainoa and that.
Yeah,
Okay? Go
I
ahead.
think it's an excellent question. I think the difference between the reinstated Hawaiian Kingdom government, nation, is that we have fulfilled the obligations and have presented to you a government. Okay? Every other entity out there proposing a process for Hawaii have not even started to be a government. They keep vala'awing. I don't know, I hate to emphasis to that. They love the news. They love the spotlight. You see them all the time. No, I realize that if you're going to be a part of something, then you better develop it. You better make it appear. And the difference between, like I'm saying, I think this can be a part of your research. Go ask them to produce on government, and you're going to find they're 10 years behind of us. It took that many years to qualify. It took me 7 years to qualify, even getting the okay to speak to another head of state. 7 years. Why? I had to forward all of the documents to the United States Department. I started with Madeleine Albright, with Colin Powell, okay? And I sent it forwarded to all the nations that I had to proceed it before I even arrived on their shores. Why? They know how governments function. They're well aware of how international law works. You know? In our situation in Hawaii, I think that's the blank. Is that many of our lawmakers really don't understand anything about international law because you're not asked. That's not a part of your, kuleana. It's not a part of your responsibility. But this is where I saw the gap. This is the problem that we have in Hawaii. So that's why I say, just to qualify for me to stand here, I had 3 separate elections. And I can tell you, I was privileged to meet Colin Powell's head protocol officer, who came directly from Washington, D.C., went from the airport straight to Hawaii Convention Center when the Asian Development Banking Conference was going on. We were the only sovereign nation in Hawaii in the building with our sign right at the front door. The reinstated Hawaiian Kingdom government welcomes everyone. Do you realize I ended up meeting most of my contacts there that day? Because nations were represented there by their foreign ministers or their ambassadors. And so was America. I got the opportunity to speak, and we had a 3-hour meeting, and he just wanted to know when we was going to do what I had wrote about. When were we going to execute it? And this was back in, I think it was 1998 when they had the ADB. So I told him, well, we haven't fulfilled all of our obligations. What I presented to him was enough for him to say to me, honestly, that he just couldn't believe we had advanced that far. He couldn't believe it, that we had fulfilled these obligations without interference from the U.S. government. And I told him it's because we were so open. We didn't hide anything. We forward everything to you guys. You know?
Okay, my final question to you, Prime Minister Noah, is how do I answer those who come to us and say, my lineage, I am a direct descendant of the royalty, direct descendant of the Kingdom of Hawaii, the last reigning monarch, and I deserve to lead this nation of Hawaii. I'm the last. What's your answer to that question?
Fortunately, their ancestors was very intelligent in law, in domestic law and international law, because in the domestic law of the Constitution of the Kingdom of Hawaii, there is a process laid into the Constitution of how our nation can reinstate itself in the event that a monarch has been ill, whatever. They actually knew they was going to get overthrown, but it's in the Constitution. So I think if I ask how many of you get relatives or ali'is, belong, I can raise, everybody can raise their hand. That's not the point. The point is, through the process of law, that problem is resolved already. Okay? Now let me show you the third question he's going to ask me. Will there be a monarch in our nation? The answer is all of those who believe they get Kanaka blood and they come from royalty can all run for the monarch seat. Okay? They can all run as far as I'm concerned, because this government had taken one step further. When we finally completed our process, we had our constitutional convention, had our constitution ratified by the people. Yeah, we realized that we should maintain our identity as a former kingdom. Okay, we should adopt the democratic constitutional platform, but we should make our monarch, a figurehead, exactly like England and Japan. So if they want to come, we're going to run that election. I believe we stated it in our last constitution where we were planning on running that election in the year 2010. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Prime Minister Noah, for that enlightenment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Victorino. Members, additional questions for the Prime Minister? Mr. Mooney, real quickly, because we'll be losing quorum soon.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Just one quick follow-up on Member Victorino's questions with regards to checks and balances in your government system. So you have the mechanism in place that would ensure that you don't have one branch of government having more power than the other branch,
That's
other
correct.
branch, and so forth.
Yes.
Your system as well.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Atiao.
Thank you, Mr. Molina. Members, no additional questions. Mr. Noah, thank you very much for your presence. Thank you for the presentation you had provided to this committee. Definitely information well received. Members, at this time, we have just one more item left on.
I just want to say thank you, for your time.
Thank you.
And I hope to hear from you. All right? Mahalo.